For the last 1600 kilometers or about 1000 miles, I've been using this Shimano double-sided or symmetrical clip-on pedal, meaning double-sided, meaning you can clip into it either which way is up, with its matching cleat. The cleat is this piece of hardware that gets mounted on the sole of the shoe and usually gets little attention, but this is actually where the magic happens. So in this review, I want to share with you about a little bit about the pedal, way more so about the cleat, and how all of this system works for me in commuting. I want to start off by emphasizing that the cleat and the pedal are a set. A non-negotiable set, meaning that with this brand, only this brand could be used for cleat. And not only that, Shimano makes specific pedal models that work with only certain shape cleats. So there are different cleat shapes that match different pedal models. So this is not only a set in terms of Shimano to Shimano, but also has to be a match in terms of acceptable, compatible hardware. This is one of them. The bicycle didn't come with pedals, so this pedal package included this cleat, so compatibility is guaranteed that way. But Shimano also makes another cleat that works with this pedal model that's also acceptable and is compatible hardware, is an optional accessory cleat, and works completely differently from how this cleat works. In terms of safety, cycling safety, and in terms of pedaling efficiency, that cleat is completely different. So, more about it later. I want to start with the conditions that I use the cleat pedal combo in. I use it for commuting, as I mentioned, and that means commuting in all weather. Commuting also means that I have to clip on and clip off or release fairly frequently, pretty much at every major intersection when there is a red light there. And clipping is done in the front, just slides on, and the rear of the clip clips onto the pedal when the heel is pushed down. Now, I can't exert nearly enough force with just my hands or thumb here to clip the shoe on, but this is where clipping, or this is the geometry of clipping, and the clipping force can be adjusted here on the pedal. If I tilt you towards it, you can see that there is an adjustment set screw with plus and minus symbols on it, that with an appropriate wrench the spring force can be dialed in to regulate how much force is necessary for clipping in and for releasing from the pedal. So this pedal, by the way, its model number is visible there. It's PD-M520. That's the pedal's model number, and the cleat's model number in this particular scenario is SM-SH51. The alternative cleat that works with this particular pedal, and I have the user's manual here that I printed because the original was thrown away by the dealer very thoughtfully. So here is the one I have on the shoe. This is the standard model ending with a 51, and the optional accessory cleat model ends with a 56. So the same letters but ending with a different digit, just one digit different. Okay, so instead of a 1, ending with a 6, 56. So it works with not only this model of pedal, the M520, it also works with some other pedal models. So both of these are SPD pedals, so both of these cleats that are listed here work with all of these pedals, but again this fit is unique to these pedals, so that must be just kept in mind. The commuting, coming back to this clip-on and release force, so in commuting I have to do this very often, and this cleat model provides a really secure, fantastic, solid connection that allows a good transmission of power to the pedal. and holds my foot really securely. I'm very happy with this cleat pedal combo as a set. They work fantastically well in commuting, and more detail about beyond being secure, more detail is coming up in just a few minutes. So the conditions that I use in commuting, other than clip on, clip off, clip on, clip off, other than that, I use it in all weather. That means precipitation, and that means a range of temperature throughout all of the precipitation forms that we can have here in the Pacific Northwest, which includes wet snow to torrential downpours of rain. We have 1200 millimeters of rain, 48 inches of rain in a year, especially coming down between October and May. So it's working fantastically well. It is secure and solid in all weather. In terms of temperature ranges, we have maybe negative -5 degrees Celsius, that's about 25 degrees Fahrenheit, up to a peak of, so far, because this is the end of March, we had maybe 20 degrees when we had a warm period, and 20 degrees Celsius is about 66 degrees Fahrenheit. So in all temperatures and in all precipitations, this is a solid, reliable connection that clips off and releases with the same amount of force and effort. That's good. Consistent operation from Shimano. Nice. Next thing I want to point out is that this cleat, where the magic happens, is adjustable. Adjustable in 4 ways. Adjustable fore and aft on the shoe, if I can use shipping terminology, but the length of the slot on the shoe depends on the shoe manufacturer. But if the shoe manufacturer makes the inserts in the footwear available for these kind of cleats, then it will make a reasonable length of adjustment, but models differ. In this case, this is a Bontrager model, so the shoe can be whatever, as long as the pedal and the cleat are a set and they are compatible with each other. And my shoe video or shoe review is a completely different topic. So adjustable fore and aft, as you can see, as well as it adjusts port and starboard, or left and right. You can see that it adjusts sideways there about 3 millimeters or so, maybe 3/16 of an inch or something like that, and also to the left side here adjusts the same amount. So depending on your geometry of your ankle or knee, or limitations depending on your range of motion and whatever, this can be adjusted within reason, sideways and up and down. The reason for the up and down adjustment, I can show you here in this geometric position, is what you call a toe strike can happen. It is not when your toes go on a strike or seize up or something, but is when you physically strike with your toes either the fender on the front wheel, when the steering angle is happens to end up the front wheel right in front of your toes. Obviously you don't want to interfere with your own steering, and you neither want you to damage your toes, so toe strike is to be avoided. To do that, I want to move my foot far away from the wheel as possible. In order to move away the foot from the wheel and fender, I want to move the cleat as far forward as possible. This geometry is just unique to this bicycle here. Different models have different clearances between and also different crank lengths. So wherever yours ends up and how far it is from the front wheel is dependent on models, and the shoe can be made to work with avoiding toe strike there. This adjustment is really important. Now, the cleats have these 2 bolts in them, and they are to be tightened to a specific torque number. You can find in the manual this little picture here that shows you the same adjustability 4 ways, and shows you the components there and the 4mm Allen key that works with it, as well as you can see provisional or initial tightening torque. That's about half steam. The final or finished tightening torque is 5 or 6 Newton meters, or 44 to 52 inch-pounds. Inch, not feet, okay? don't over tighten it. If you repair the inserts from your own shoe, it's your own problem. As well as if this one moves on you or gets loose on you while riding, affecting your ability to unclip, because it's very nearly impossible to release this bond from the pedal if this goes loose on you, and if you wipe out as a result of that, it's entirely your problem and your fault. Shimano has told you otherwise to tighten it appropriately, and of course take it to a dealer who have the correct tools to dial in the geometry and the required torque. So the surface of this thing that I want to talk about next, you can see that there's a little bit of rust in nut bolt there, and there's a little bit of rusting here and there. That's due to road salting, because temperature often hovers around the 0 degrees Celsius or freezing mark. That's about 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and you can see some slight rusting here and there. That's fine. I'm not overly concerned with that, because this amount of corrosion does not significantly chew away the thickness of the metal that's needed for a secure condition. Of course, this is to be monitored for signs of corrosion, looseness, and wear as well. This is made of mild steel, and it originally came black powder coated, as it is listed in this manual here, that this is black. That's what that word refers to. But now it's bare, meaning all the powder coating is gone from it. The reason for it is because even though I chose a model that lies flat with the sole of the shoe, so it's not exposed, and walking is made reasonably possible in it, it makes clippy sounds on hardwood floor, not an issue on carpet, but on tile, very slippery, because the shoe ridges on the shoe, although not entirely soft, but still leaves, and so not too soft, and they don't compress much. But even though it doesn't look like this one is raised from the surface, it does get in contact with the concrete, and walking on concrete is crunchy, audibly, noticeably crunchy. So this piece of mild steel cleat gets chewed up all the time. I'm not saying it's gouged out at the moment, but I try to minimize walking on concrete as much as I possibly can, and that's why there's no finish on it, and that's why of the road salting in those near freezing conditions takes a toll on it. So be it. This is meant to be made out of mild steel, and the pedals components here are hardened steel, which means that between the two of them, this is meant to be the wear item that needs to be replaced before this wears out. I don't know if it's a 3-to-1, a 5-to-1, or whatever ratio, but it's somewhat akin to screwdriver bit and screw head. The screw head, actually the screw head would be the softer, and the screwdriver bit is meant to be hardened so that it lasts through many screws. So likewise, this is meant to be a softer metal so that it can be clipped in, clipped off, clipped in, clipped off thousands of times, but eventually you have to watch it for wear, not only for gouging out the surface, but wear through repeated clippings in. And of course, there's also a limit of life for the pedal itself. Maybe, I don't know, 1 million clip-ins, I don't know, I'm just imagining that number, but something like that, maybe 100,000, I don't know, but there is a limit on the pedal itself as well. So the cleat itself is, and this is important for safety, besides corrosion and wear and proper adjustment and proper tightening, is that it's one single directional or unidirectional release cleat. That means that it only comes out of this pedal in one direction when it's clipped on. It comes out this way. You have to twist your ankle sideways out this way. That gets you two immediate consequences. One is that you can pull with this pedal, maybe not in this position, but in this position, somewhere there. Okay, so with this pedal you're pushing and you're using your quads, and in this pedal you can be pulling up because it does not release upward. The other cleat model that also works with the same pedal model does release up. Here, take a look at it. Maybe in this position here. So that's the optional accessory cleat, and it's originally colored differently for maybe a little easier identification. It says multiple release model, and not that it, both of these release from the pedal multiple times, clip on, clip off, clip on, clip off multiple times, but what they mean is multiple direction release. So this is what they mean, that it releases sideways just like the original one, but it also releases in any direction up. It doesn't just release in 3 directions, it releases sideways and any which way up. That's what they mean by those 2 additional arrows. So that means that with this optional cleat you are not able to pull up on a pedal. When would you need to pull up on a pedal? Well, 3 scenarios. 1, sudden acceleration, or maybe a productive acceleration, fast acceleration, some such thing. So in other words, in times when you really want to accelerate fast, maybe keeping up with the traffic, it's a condition that happens in commuting. So not wild acceleration that you would injure yourself, but when you're pushing down on the upper pedal here in the 10 o'clock position, you are taking all of the load with the quads, and if you can help in with your hamstrings by pulling up on the pedal that's in the 4 o'clock position, it results in faster acceleration. It also helps with climbing. It may not be intuitive, but again, using your hamstrings and climbing with your hamstrings on the pedal that's down in any position, helping and supplementing the force you can exert with your quads in climbing. It's important for me because I have big hills. Big hills, I mean 100 meters, 300 feet. For me, that's a big hill. Okay, so don't be laughing on my lack of fitness. So I need to be able to pull with my pedals. A third scenario is and calls for pulling on the pedal when you want to do a bunny hop, a small jump, just like a really small one, especially with the rear wheel, but the whole bicycle. Okay, why would you be airborne in commuting? That may be necessary because there is a foreign object on the road that you want to clear and you don't want to cycle over it and you don't want to be in contact with, so you might want to pull up on the pedals and bunny hop over it. And another one is pavement irregularities, huge gaps, spill on the pavement, whatever, something like that, and you don't want to bend your rims or have a flat tire, whatever. You want to pull up and be airborne, however short amount of time, whatever. It's not for circus stunts. It's a commuting scenario that happens to me quite a bit because I use truck roads, truck routes, okay, where heavy duty transportation trucks go and they drop metal components by the bucket. I literally mean by the bucket. They're on the deck because often I just pick up the foreign objects. So you are able to pull with this cleat up should the occasion arise, but not with the other cleat model. Lastly, what I want to share with you is that you need to practice with this cleat in a living room. Practice clipping in and practice releasing your foot from the pedal, because Shimano also tells you at length in the manual that you need to practice with it. Not only that, you also need to, so that's practice is one thing, you also need to plan ahead while riding. Plan ahead for any changes in direction and plan ahead for foreseeing any possibility of change of speed, such as sudden stopping, as well as plan ahead for watching for any change in the traction conditions, whether it be more slippery or sandy or whatever gets spilled on the road. If the conditions might hint that there's going to be some traffic problem that need slowing down and potentially stopping, you should unclip. And you can see evidence of this here on the pedal shaft. You can see those wear marks that I frequently unclip and just rest my foot, slide it in a little bit and rest my foot on it. I can still push on the pedal with the shoe, that's not a problem. I won't be able to pull unless I clip in again properly. But Shimano tells you, you really have to plan ahead, because these shoes don't release from the pedal accidentally or in any other direction other than moving your ankle out like so. It does not release up. And it could be hurting you if you don't plan ahead and if you fall. So it's a really secure, strong connection to the bicycle, connecting your foot to the pedal. But also in traffic this could be problematic if you don't plan ahead and if you don't practice clipping in and releasing from the pedal. I had just 2 near misses, Sunday traffic, while I was practicing, why not, on real roads instead of in the living room. And I nearly fell. I did some of those, with your arms you do those windmills, those wah, and you're leaning over, and in the last second or millisecond it released somehow sideways, and I did not fall in either of those 2 occasions, but very nearly. So Shimano is not responsible. You were warned to practice, you were told to practice and to plan ahead while you're cycling. So these may not be the best fit for you for commuting, this pedal with this cleat, but it's working fantastically well for me, given those conditions and paying attention to those warnings and having the system properly secure. So keep cycling, it's a lot of fun, and you be safe out there.